What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart because I saw some interesting stuff on here. And today is March 11th, and there's a significance to that date. And I wanted to kind of talk about it on the charts and what kind of got me going down the direction that I was going down that led me to create this type of video where we're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to compare it to 2017. As a lot of you know, my expectations are that the top for Bitcoin is going to come in between $70,000 and $80,000. But I wanted to present an alternative for you to show you some other similarities we see in Bitcoin that maybe the price is going to go higher. I don't know, but I'm following my own exit plan based on things that I've mapped out for a long time. But I found some similarities between the correction that we've just most recently had, our previous correction that we had back here in January, and really the whole run up. And the thing that really got me started on kind of going that down this direction of looking at alternatives, and I started saying to myself, man, it's March 11th. It was March 12th and March 13th of last year in 2020 where the markets just completely fell apart, including Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and all markets, right? Precious metals, stocks, everything really fell apart all at the same time there on March 12th of last year. I was thinking to myself, man, you know what? All the big boys, all the smart money who bought all that cryptocurrency from all of those really scared retail investors who were totally convinced that the market was going to go down much lower. They were in complete disarray. They were panicked. They were worried while those institutions were buying everything off of them while the retail investors were scared. Tomorrow marks the day that all those institutions and all those people that bought those cryptocurrencies and those stocks and those everything are now going to be in the long-term capital gains tax bracket. So anybody accumulated this dip between March 12th through March 20th in the United States, we have something called long-term capital gains, where if you hold something longer than a year and then you sell it, you pay a significantly less amount of taxes. When it comes tax time. Now, I'm not a tax advisor. You need to contact an accountant to help you with something like that. But that's a pretty well-known fact that if you hold something for longer than a year, there is a different tax bracket than short-term capital gains. And so it's always kind of been in the back of my head that, you know what, maybe we won't even ever see our top until after that, right? The smart money's not going to let this thing really get away and let that top really come in until after they can take advantage of all this accumulation that happened down in here, and that when they sell, they only have to pay long-term capital gains rather than short-term capital gains. So here we are. Tomorrow's the big day. A lot of the people who bought on March 12th will officially be into the long-term capital gains, and as we get through March 20th, that will mean this entire dip down in here will be in long-term capital gain status for anybody who bought it and held it through that time period. So I started trying to kind of think of, what life was like going through all of this, through these different time periods. And then I remember, Michael Saylor, right? He's pretty popular now in cryptocurrency. He didn't come into the market until right in here, until Bitcoin was like $9,000, $10,000. That's when he started really making a name for himself. Him and Anthony Pompliano helped really kind of push his name to let the world know that here's this institution adding a bunch of Bitcoin to its balance sheet. But then, as we all know, the price just continued to keep cranking and cranking and cranking, fighting against all-time high over here, then getting out correction 1, now correction 2. But started trying to think to myself, why was it that Michael Saylor got in right here? What was going on with this? What was the confirmations that he needed to see that we were going to be having support holding right here? Obviously, I thought support was going to hold right here. This is back in the day where everybody was thinking that we were going to repeat this and head back down here. That was never my expectation. My expectation was that we were going to break out and go higher. But why did Michael Saylor come out here? Why did this whole institution stuff start right here? And I do see that was able to hold this support level that happened right in here. And I'll turn this stuff on real quick and we'll look at these boxes that I've got drawn here, because you'll see the similarities between what I'm going to show you now compared to what happened in 2017. Is that after this really big capitulative moment that happened where the market just got absolutely scared, we see very similar structures of support levels breaking and support levels holding, then fighting up here against the all-time high, correction 1, correction 2. And then I started saying, you know what, that reminds me a lot of what the bull run looked like back in 2015 and 2016 and 2017. There was this breakout and then this back test. Then we broke above the support level, back testing the support level. And you could think of this moment in time as being like when Michael Saylor announced that MicroStrategy was adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet, just like right in here. We have a big capitulative scary moment, just like back in 2017, consolidation, breakout above it with a back test on top of the level, Consolidation here in 2020 with a breakout and a back test, staying below this level right in here until we finally broke out and then back tested on top of that level once again, just like back here in 2015 and in 2016, staying below that level, breaking out and back testing the level with an ABC, just like in here, staying underneath it, breaking out, back testing with an ABC. And I can zoom in on this and you can see that ABC perfect because in that time period we were talking about it, you have your A pull down, then your B pulls right back up to the 702 Fibonacci retracement, and then you go on to complete your C leg, which comes back down to backtest the resistance, which is then turned into a support. That is where Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy make their investments and their announcements that they're getting into Bitcoin, similar to what we had over here, right? Breakdown, backtest that previous resistance now turned into a support to then head on to double fight against that all-time high, just like we did here in 2021 and 2020, right? Going back up to double fight against that all-time high, eventually breaking out and having a correction, just like back in 2016 and 2017. Double fight, breakout, correction, break up, correction, in which we break up and correction. So we're seeing like really eerily similar structures of what this bubble is looking like for Bitcoin. And I know people don't like the term bubble, but think of a bubble as a market cycle. We have booms and we have busts. And right now we're in a boom for Bitcoin. So, you know, what happened to Bitcoin after that moment, after that correction, right? It went on to have its final little rally, had its double tap up here, breakout, back tested to the double tap, 5-wave structure, boom, that was the end of the market. But you could see from a percentage standpoint, by the time we got here, the majority of the bull run had already been completed at this point. But if we were to do something similar like this, right, if we were going to continue at the same rate and we do continue an extension above this correction, similar to what this extension above this correction was, how far could we expect Bitcoin to go if it did follow that? Well, the great thing about fractals is we can just move it over here and compress it and get it to look pretty eerily similar, and which it kind of does, right? It's pretty similar, right? How far would that take you if you did something like that? Well, that gets you up to almost $200,000. Well, that doesn't match anybody's analysis, right? We've got $100,000 out there by a lot of people. We've got $70,000 to $80,000 by me. We've got $300,000 for the stock to flow model. So I don't know, but I thought I would show it to you. I thought it was pretty interesting to spot something like that. And it all started from looking at, you know what? We're at a point right now where all those institutions could sell if they wanted to at any point for their long-term capital gain status. It pretty much has the green light to go flip the switch, send the thing parabolic, pamp it, because these guys can now get out whenever they want to. I did some modeling on here to try to figure out from a time perspective how long that would take. You know, if we were just going to measure it on the growth rate of a parabolic run compared to how long it would take to get to the top with how long it took to get to this period compared to our last cycle. And that would mean if it did continue at that rate, you'd be looking like in April. You'd be looking at like 30 to 45 days that it would take to do something like that if it continued at that same growth rate. And that makes me go back to this tweet right over here by Blockchain Trucker. And man, I did see your video you posted the other day with you in your truck. And my daughter was sitting next to me when we were watching that and her mouth dropped. You know what I'm talking about, man. But all right. This morning, he asked me, "Morning, BC Backer. I've noticed when you speak of selling your bag, 65% seems to be your number. So my question is 65% the max amount you'll sell of all of your bags?" And right, so my exit plan is not focused around this right here, around this being the actual thing that's going to end up happening. My exit plan is around us repeating all of this and that we're actually here in our final wave right in here. So I've copied and pasted this fractal and shifted it over to show that during this entire correction that we've had from 2017 through 2020, that we show the eerily similarities here of what happened back and then how we were grinding our way up. And that my belief is that we are actually only going to about $70,000 to $80,000. And so I'm playing my cards accordingly, right? Sold out of my Bitcoin, rotated it into the altcoins, but I've only sold 65%, right? I still hold on to 35%. Why would I hold on to 35% if I believe that it's only going to go that high and I don't even have the intention of selling the 35% when it does get that high? I'll just continue to keep on holding it. And I had responded to a tweet about this, and that I had stated that I am smart enough to know that I'm dumb enough to not be perfect. And 65% is that magic number for me to be able to let go of something at a target and feel that I've taken a big enough victory from it, but still have enough exposure to where if I'm wrong and it keeps going higher, I still have quite a bit of exposure. And if things also fall apart and I was right and it just crashes into the ground, it's okay. I took out a really large portion, nearly 2/3 of it. So 65% is really just my magic number for me for what I'm able to do emotionally. Because, like every human being out there, I have emotions too. And this is how I can combat them. I can take a big enough victory to where I can still have quite a bit of exposure because 35% is quite a bit. Let's pretend that I bought one Bitcoin for $3,000. I rode it all the way up to $60,000. I sold 2/3 of it. I got $40,000. How much do I still have left? I still have $20,000 of exposure to Bitcoin at that point. And if the price keeps going up much higher, that's still significant exposure. And I can tell you, most of the new people coming into this market, they're probably not dropping $20,000 to buy some Bitcoin. Maybe a couple $100, maybe a couple $1,000, but not $20,000, right? That's still significant exposure, in my opinion, right? To some people listening to this channel, they'll think that's massive, insane amounts of exposure. To some people, they're kind of chuckling to themselves, saying, "You have no idea. That's just baby money compared to what I've got in there." But in the end, in this example of one Bitcoin, it's still significant exposure in regards to percentage of the portfolio. In my opinion, for me personally, right? 35% is kind of that magic number. And for me, there's just absolutely no way I could risk my whole portfolio on this idea that we've got posted right here that, hey, you know what? Those fractals look crazy similar. And that's the target of where we're going to. I just can't risk everything on it, even though it does look ridiculously similar. But I feel good because I still have complete exposure to this market. And even if that was the case, even if Bitcoin is going to go to $200,000, what type of percentage rise is that currently from where we're at right now? About 278%. I can tell you, everything that I'm invested in has way more than 278% potential to the upside. So I'm not a bear on cryptocurrency. I'm a bull. But as for Bitcoin, we'll have to see. But I thought this was really interesting and I wanted to at least share it with you. But I still just continue to stick to my plan. And the way I lean has always been to follow what we've been doing and how things have been playing out. And everything's been playing out accordingly, especially since we didn't have any type of mid-cycle alt season, right? That's one thing to think about, right? In that previous fractal that we had, there was that mid-cycle alt season that led up to that first correction. We didn't have that this time. So I still have to stick with the ideas of, hey, we're still doing what I've assumed that we've been doing. And for me, it's going to be about letting go of 65% of everything that I have at my initial targets and still continuing to hold 35%, whether that's crashing it into the ground or whether that's riding it off into the stratosphere. That's still good exposure either way, but I've got to take my victory where I can take it. And for everybody, that's going to be different. What's perfect for me isn't going to be perfect for you. And what's perfect for you absolutely isn't going to be perfect for me. And these are all predetermined plans that I've thought out ahead of time so that I don't have to make those type of last second decisions when the time comes. I've already thought all these things out way ahead of time to know what is it I need to do when the time comes. And I can tell you, having that plan and being prepared has helped me so far in this bull cycle that we've been in. It helped me emotionally be prepared to let go of my Bitcoin when I did. It helped me emotionally be prepared to let go of my Cardano or my ADA when I did, and some of my Ethereum. And like looking over here at ADA, looking at Cardano, for those who have taken my course, if you've watched the Litecoin video, the XRP video, the Ethereum video, on how I'm letting go of 65% when I'm letting go of it, a lot of it's based on the rally that took place prior to the capitulation back in 2018. I go into extreme detail in the course on why that is so important because we've seen that in previous cycles with XRP, with Litecoin, with other altcoins, that there tends to be some type of top that comes in when we're measuring using that particular rally. And it looks like I've already got it on there. And we can even see that with it right here. It did the exact same thing with Cardano. And it looks a little bit more dramatic when we're off that log scale that you can see that top. It's looking toppy. If I was all in on Cardano right now, I'd be a little uneasy right now because that's the particular place where 65% of my ADA had to be gone no matter what. If I wanted to rotate out of it early and get into laggards, I could do that all the way up. By the time we got to right here, 65% had to be gone for me. I hold 35% right now. I totally could see ADA crashing way back down lower, but I'm personally okay with that because I did what I set out to do. If it breaks up and goes to $5, woohoo, I'll sell half of what I've got remaining at $5. If it goes to $25, hey, I'll let go of the last ones up there at 25. But also, if it does end up crashing all the way back down from right here, I'm okay with that. I was able to make significant gains out of that. Cardano rose up thousands of percentage points off the bottom here. It reached up over almost 9,000% there off the bottom. And whatever happens with that remaining 35%, I can live with whatever, right? If it goes all the way down, so be it. If it goes to the absolute moon, woohoo, that's great. So I continue sticking to the plan, waiting for the Bitcoin to break out, waiting for all those altcoins to start rocking and rolling. But I wanted to show you that even if something like this did play out and it does look eerily similar, and if that is the case, I'm still prepared for a scenario like that. But all right, there you go. I'm sure that gave everybody a lot to think about, to say, oh gosh, there's another wrench thrown into everything to give a little bit of doubt. But that's the thing about what I do, right? I like to look at everything from every scenario. I don't like to be completely stuck in my ways. I have to have the ability to take the take an idea, run with it, and then also have the ability to say, you know what, there's always a chance I could be wrong too. And which is why you guys always see me saying 65% is how much I'm letting go. I'm willing to let 35% crash into the absolute ground, but I'm also willing to be wrong and that it continues to go up higher. And if it did, I would want to still have exposure. That is not a perfect scenario for everybody. That is not the perfect formula for everybody, but that's the formula for me. And I'll have to go back and look at what my targets are for Bitcoin for me to be able to let go of more of it. I do know it needs to be, I think, around 150,000 or higher for me to let go of any more of my Bitcoin. But my main focus moving forward at this point now is going to be focusing on those altcoins and watching them get up to those initial targets that I have, really kind of paying attention to what that initial rally prior to the capitulation back in 2018 did. And we can see that on all charts. I get a lot of people asking me, I'm always talking about, what have I been rotating into here now that I've let go of my Bitcoin? What am I putting it into the altcoins? And I keep repeating, right? Bitcoin Cash, EOS, Ethereum Classic, Zcash, Dash, XRP. And people keep asking, hey, can you tell us what your targets are for that? And I always like to say that this is not a trade call channel. I'm really just kind of trying to show you the charts, and I try to teach you a lot of stuff about the charts to help you kind of try to figure stuff out on your own. There's a million different trade call channels out there. You're pretty much just having to guess on that. My goal of this channel is to really kind of just teach you how to fish, not just give you the fish. But if you paid attention to what I did in this video, I'm applying that to a lot of different stuff in this market. And that, of course, is expressed in detail over here on my website as well. So I'll wrap this thing up. I hope you guys liked that video. That's a weird fractal that Bitcoin's got going on there. Will it turn into anything else? I don't know. But we do know that tomorrow is March 12th and long-term capital gains set in for all the people who bought the crash. So, all right, I'll wrap it up. If you guys would like, you could check out my website over here. This is bcbacker.com. I have a lot of videos on here where I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs, the different altcoin market cycles, how they've worked together in the past. Talk about a lot of different things like the mathematics, percentages. I talk about how to set up charts. I walk through TradingView and the different indicators on there. Talk about rotation. I talk about my exit plans, and I have provided some updates in here as things have progressed. But you can check this out over here on bcbacker.com. You could follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching my channel. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.